Markets continue to take a bath, and it has nothing to do with the real economy. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. Joe Warper coming at you. And let me start out by apologizing. I know it's been a few weeks since I've posted on YouTube, and I have to tell you why. Because these markets and Powell and what is going on has been driving me crazy, and I just didn't want to get back on and say the same thing I've been saying week after week, month after month. Powell's saying something, the markets are reacting in an opposite way, or I'm tired of it, but I figured I have to get back on here, especially because the markets have been taking a bath. We've seen since August, the NASDAQ fall nearly 9%, the S&P 500 down about 8%, the Dow Jones in the same territory. In fact, year over year, the positive news is the markets are up, but this last quarter, they've really fallen down. But none of this has anything to do with what's going on in the economy. Why do I say that? Because the economy overall is strong. Let's start with unemployment. You can see unemployment's at about 3.8%, which is very strong. Yes, it's up from the 3.5% it was just a few months ago. But Powell is actually excited about that because he's trying to push the economy to slow down. He's trying to push the economy to contract. And one of the areas he'd like to see is higher unemployment. He'd actually like to see between 4 and 4.25% unemployment. 3.8 is up, but overall it's down from where it was during COVID. And how about housing? We've seen, because of Powell, mortgages climb by 300%. Just a short while ago, you could get a mortgage below 3%. Now, mortgages have climbed to above 8%. That means that the cost of homeownership has skyrocketed. And what I heard a lot of other YouTubers say, what I heard a lot of economists say, was that this was going to drive home prices down. And I've been saying the exact opposite. In fact, I've posted video after video saying housing is not going to collapse. And so far, as you can see with the Case-Shiller Index, I am right. In fact, housing is at an all-time high, even though the cost to purchase a house has risen 3 times just over a year and a half ago. Why is that? Because of demand. It's simple. When there's a ton of demand out there and there's a limited supply, home values go up. End of story. I don't care what the mortgage costs are. Now, what's going to be even crazier, when Powell actually becomes dovish and he begins lowering interest rates and we see mortgages drop back down to 4.5%, we are going to see housing take off. We're going to see the values of housing skyrocket. Yes, we will see more houses available in inventory because people who've been locked in with a lower interest rate will feel comfortable that now they can buy a little bit of a larger house, or maybe they wanted to sell and buy a smaller house. They feel like they can do that because the cost to purchase that new house will be more reasonable. But mark my word, when he is done raising interest rates, we are going to see housing take off yet again. We are not going to see 30-40% declines in housing. It's not going to happen. How about corporate profit? Corporate profits, while they aren't as high as they were coming out of COVID, they're still up almost 20% from where they were pre-COVID. That means that companies are making more money than they've ever made, except for just those few months after we got out of COVID. And GDP just hit 4.9%, a gigantic increase, which is concerning because we heard Powell say he feels we need to have below trend growth to bring inflation back to 2%. And that if we don't see that below trend growth, if we continue to see above trend growth, that tells him he has to continue to raise interest rates. Now, all the experts are agreeing that he's not going to raise interest rates at the next meeting in November, nor do they believe it's going to happen in December. They're thinking it's going to happen probably in the first and second quarter of 2024. We'll just have to wait and see. And yes, the consumer price index has risen to 3.7%. It was as low as 3.5% just a few months ago, but that's not what Powell's interested in. Powell came out and said that he's not interested in tracking CPI. He wants to track core PCE, or the core personal consumption expenditure index. It basically takes out volatile expenditures like food and fuel. And we have seen that drop over the last year. We haven't seen it gone up. In fact, it just fell to a new low of 3.9%. So this is good news. This again is why experts agree that more than likely Powell won't raise rates at the next meeting because he said he needs to see that core PCE come down to 2%. And as you can see, for years before COVID, it was below 2%. 3.9 is high, but not as bad as it was a year ago. So what are the markets doing? The markets are reacting negative to all of this information. We've seen the NASDAQ fall almost into correction territory for 2023. The NASDAQ still hasn't recovered from its fall back in 2022. In fact, it's still down worse than 10%. That means the NASDAQ is still in correction territory. The S&P 500 is not too far behind. The Dow's pretty close. In 2023, the Dow hasn't made any money. The S&P's up about 7. The NASDAQ is way up, but like I said, just recently, the NASDAQ lost nearly 10% since August because of what's going on with Powell. Everything I'm talking about is because of Powell. It's not because of unemployment. It's not because of housing. It's not because of corporate profits. It's not because the economy is strong. It's because people are concerned that Powell's going to raise rates. That's going to cause a recession, which a recession is 2 periods of the GDP being negative, and we just saw the GDP hit an all-time high. So I don't see that happening anytime soon. So why are the markets overreacting? Because they're markets, because stock markets are not the economy, and they're always trying to price in what's going to happen in the future. And right now they think the future is not as bright because of Powell. But if we take Powell out of the picture, everything looks good. I'm excited about this. I foresee 2024 being a great year. Powell saying, I'm done raising interest rates. Mortgages coming back down to 5%. We could actually see the markets recover. Just think about it. The Dow, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ could recover from its highs back in 2022, and we could actually see some real growth going forward. That would be exciting. Right now, it's a cluster, it's ugly, but what you have to do is you have to hold on. You have to have a plan ahead of time, not overreact, not sell when it's low and buy when it's high. Get a plan together, follow that plan, listen to your advisor, check back here. I promise I'm back now. I'm not going to let what Powell's doing upset me. I'm going to come back every week. I apologize I haven't been here. Like I've said in the past, if you like videos like this, check out some of my other videos. Leave a comment down below, subscribe for future videos, and I will see you next week. Because the good news is, while CPI, or Consumer Price Index, which is a report of inflation, did rise,